This gameplay video is brought to you by very generous patron Shuffles. Allowing myself to revisit one of my favourite commanders here between Christmas and the New Year in Queen Marchesa up against Hallar, Balthor the Defiled and Gishath. Pretty good hand for us actually. We will keep on that. I think it's 36 lands in this deck. Started putting fewer and fewer lands in my decks as the curves are getting lower on these commander decks nowadays. Tend to hover around 35, 36 now as opposed to the 37, 38 that I used to put in. Second in the turn order, not bad either, just a tapped stomping ground from our opponent. We draw Teferi's Protection, we'll get down a tapped shock of our own. No need to play out Skull Clamp until we get that Bitter Blossom on the go. Thespian Stage for Balthor, most likely for Cabal Coffers if they have that in the deck, which they likely do in a mono black deck. First spell of the game is Goblin Narcomancer. Yeah, just makes green and red spells cost one less. Cathar's Crusade for us. We'll put plus counters on all of our tokens. There is a bit of a token sub-theme in this deck. Fix our colours a little bit more and go for the Bitter Blossom. The sooner we can get that down the better, of course. Commune with Dinosaurs now from the Dinosaur player. Look at the top 5 cards, reveal a dinosaur or a land, put it into hand, revealing to us a basic mountain but not playing that this turn. Balthor passing through the turn again. And there is an Elvish Archdruid which they can get out for only 2 mana. And Aurum Reef the Vastwood was allowed to be played tapped there, thanks to the Mana Dork. So it's Goblin and Archamancer swinging in towards us for 2 damage. And we see the first trigger on Bitter Blossom. So getting a Flying Fairy Rogue into play. That is a Ruinous Ultimatum, which I'm sure will come in handy later on. I think we want to get some more white mana into play here, so we'll go for the Verdant Catacombs. And we can get down the Savai Triome, seeing as how that is a tap land, so we don't draw it later. Let's throw out the Lightning Greaves. We do have haste on our commander, but we do not have Shroud, of course, so Lightning Greaves will help to protect our commander if we decide to get that down next turn. A Rites of Flourishing from Gishath, so we each draw an additional card during our draw step, and we can play additional lands as well, so we stand to make 2 lands a turn here if we're lucky. And there we see a Zombie Master, which unfortunately we've got Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth in play, so I assume that Balthor has that in the deck anyway. I mean, we've got a Blood Crypt and a Triome in play already, so they've already got Swamp Walk on us. So actually the Urborg would actually help us, because the zombie army could go in these directions as well, which they wouldn't necessarily be able to do otherwise. Anyhow, we see the commander, first commander of the game in Hallar the Firefletcher. And there is a Kessig Wolfrun in play as well, so getting good lands into play also. And then it's a Hydra's Growth, so put a plus counter on it, and at the beginning of your upkeep, double them. So now at a 6/6 with Trample, thanks to the 2 plus counters. 2/2 still comes in at us, so we're going to have to concentrate some removal over here, I think, if they're going to keep doing that to us. Already we go down to 33. Alright, and there's a Toxic Deluge, so could slow down our opponent straight away here, I suppose, instead of going for our commander. Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually particularly against that idea. I don't really want to play my commander and then just wipe it straight away, so yeah, let's go Isolated Chapel. We can go for the Urborg as well, thanks to the enchantment. And then we can Skull Clamp a Fairy Rogue as well. So we'll throw out the Skull Clamp. Clamp on the Rogue with Summoning Sickness. Draws us 2 cards. And there's a Jeska's Will. We've got Vanquish the Horde as well, so yeah, I feel better about going for Toxic Deluge in that case. It will cost us 3 mana to go Vanquish the Horde here, so yeah, maybe Vanquish the Horde is actually a better idea then. We can save Toxic Deluge for any indestructible stuff. So in that case, we might as well swing in. We'll show our opponents that we're focused on the Rakdos player, seeing as how he is focused on us. And we can go Vanquish the Horde for only 3 mana, so that does of course destroy all the creatures in play. I've made some changes to the deck and updated it with a few cards. Not made too many changes though since I last played it. Cultivate, ramping into Gishath even further. And they stick at 7 cards in hand, playing the planes that they went for with the Cultivate. Radiant Fountain into play, along with another Swamp, so we may see the commander here. Nope, instead going for a Black Market, so I'm glad I went for the board wipe before Black Market hit play. Unfortunately, seeing an Ancient Tomb there from the Gruul player, so that ramps them ahead a little bit, and they do get their commander back into play. Still 6 cards in hand over there, and a plus counter going on it from the Auron Reef Vastwood. Thankfully, Hydra's growth has gone down already. So we go down to 32, get another Fairy Rogue token. Alright, and there's a Monastery Mentor, that's pretty good. Painful Truths, I want to keep hitting the lands, preferably, so... yeah, I think we just have to get rid of the Fairy Rogue here. So we'll clamp on the Rogue token. Down goes the Fairy to Black Market, so a counter going on that. There we see a Strip Mine. So that's our land for the turn. Divine Visitation. Is that worth playing now for the Bitter Blossom? Yeah, I think it might be. Does leave us wide open to an attack from the Gruul player, but after that, hopefully we're just getting free angels every turn, and we can do well with Monastery Mentor as well, so yeah, pretty risky play, especially against a Naya player. They could get something big and hasty into play, but we'll go for the Divine Visitation here and paint an even bigger target on our forehead. If we get another white or red source, then we've got the Ruinous Ultimatum held up as well. Continuing to set up, and that is a haste enabler in Otepec Huntmaster. Can give a dinosaur haste and makes them cost 1 less. An O-ring likely goes on the Divine Visitation, I would think, and it does. We can get rid of Divine Visitation easily enough. Not with anything that's currently in hand though. And there we see a Grave Titan, so yeah, it might be worth going for the Ruinous Ultimatum if we can next turn. I don't really like the idea of my opponents ramping and drawing additional cards. They're not going down on cards really. The whole point of this deck is that we're removal tribal and we get card advantage over our opponents. That would get us our Divine Visitation back as well. It all relies on us getting into the right land next turn. A Keen Sense for some more card draw for the Gruul player. Followed by Everflowing Chalice, I think only putting 2 mana into that. Yeah, kicked 1 time. So there goes Keen Sense, triggering, thanks to the Hallar Firefletcher. And that Keen Sense continuing to do work over there. This time it is Breath of Daragaz, and that is kicked, so 1 damage to... so with it being kicked, that was 4 damage to each creature without flying and each player. So taking down everything except the Grave Titan. We're down to 23. I dare say that we're about to take some commander damage as well. Mana Crypt now from the same player. And yeah, predictably coming in towards us. So down to 17 we go, and 6 commander. Following that up with a Priest of Titania, not holding up Heroic Intervention, which is really good, putting plus counters on their creatures with Auron Reef the Vastwood. I think only the Priest of Titania gets a counter there actually, because it entered this turn. So here's hoping for a land, red or white land we want. And we've got 2 shots at it. Oh, Fracture doesn't do it. And neither does Swords to Plowshares. Swords does help us though. Yeah, not getting into lands is not good there. So I think we have to start chump blocking with the Monastery Mentor, so we'll play that out. Throw the Greaves on there straight away. And now we can... We've got 8 cards in hand, so we might as well Fracture. Yeah, we can Fracture on the Oblivion. That will make us a Monk token. And then any other instants and sorceries that we play from now on are going to come in as Angel tokens. And we do, of course, have Swords to Plowshares held up, so we can make one at instant speed. I think we can pass at that. I would very much like to use Swords to Plowshares on our opponent's commander, but if Grave Titan forces our hand, then I will use it potentially on the Grave Titan. Getting rid of the Grave Titan permanently sounds better than using it on the commander, but I really don't want to give them another turn with this thing because of the Keen Sense doing all that work that it did last turn. And there we see what I think is the first dinosaur of the game. That is Annoyed Altasaur. Reach, Trample and Cascade on a 6/5. And that's a really good one, a Quartzwood Crasher. So going to be making some big 6/6 dinosaur beasts. And while the Gruul players focus in on us, they are ignoring the Gishath player who is slowly ticking up towards their commander, and once this hits play you've got a big problem on your hands, so hopefully it pays off for the Gruul player there. 4 mana being created by the black market for Balthor. 4 mana being created at the beginning of the turn for Balthor, and had 8 cards in hand at the beginning of the turn playing a Crypt of Agadine. I forgot that came in tapped. Not too many creatures in the bin at the moment, thankfully, and there won't be. Not on our sides of the field anyway. Kalitas, Traitor of Get, been playing against that in paper in the recent months, so Kalitas is going to be some graveyard hate for us. Don't particularly care about that in this deck, I don't think. And after that we see a Death Priest of Mirkul as well. So yeah, that's a Lord effect, an Anthem effect on skeletons, vampires and zombies, and it can make skeletons as well. So bumping up the Kalitas to a 4/5 with lifelink. And still not done there, there is a Crypt Breaker, and they will have enough zombies after they swing in with the Grave Titan, because that will make 2 when it goes into attacks. Be intrigued to see which one of us they go for here. I know the Divine Visitation's scary, but I mean, they've seen the number of cards that the Hallar player has been drawing into. So in they go to the red zone with Grave Titan, making those zombies. Yeah, and it is us that they're going in at, so they want to bully us out of the game apparently. So I wonder if we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Let's go after their commander, which I was thinking we were going to do anyway. Monastery Mentor triggers and gets buffs on the monk, so we can make an angel as well as buffing the monk, like I just said. That will give us 6 power to get rid of that Grave Titan, as well as getting rid of our opponent's commander, of course. So throwing away an angel, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll be able to make more of those. This is definitely a 6/6. So we trade our 2 creatures for their 1. I'm sure there's plenty of reanimation in that mono black deck though. It is the whole point of Balthor after all. Which is why I wanted to use Swords to Plowshares on the Grave Titan really. Black Market will see 3 creatures die and get more counters on it. That will total 7 now. And then the Death Priest of Mirkul will trigger at the end of the turn, so just 1 mana for what will be a 2/2 skeleton. And they do pay into that. Oh, and I haven't checked the chat yet. There has been a lot of talking going on apparently, so I'll just skim through all this. And you can all read through that. Pause the video if you want to. The Hallar, the Firefletcher, coming back into play again. Seems as though the deck is pretty much focused around that commander. So if we could go Oubliette or something like that onto there, that would hurt them. Very much worried about this Gishath player though. He seemed to be getting ignored a lot. Okay, Chandra's Ignition is another board wipe. So there goes Monastery Mentor. I really don't want to go for Ruinous Ultimatum before the Gishath hits play. Seeing Ozolith from the same player. So we might have to go for Teferi's Protection, laying back on that for now. We are at 11 life, not getting into any of our life gain either, unfortunately. We do have Arid Mesa now, though. So throw out the Arid Mesa. Let's go for our commander as well. And we will become the Monarch here. So further encouraging people to swing in towards us. Throw Lightning Greaves onto Queen Marchesa. Ancient Tomb, might as well throw that down. Yeah, I suppose we could put a Skull Clamp on the Angel. Give that a little bit more power to make it more difficult to swing in at. Maybe they won't swing this in towards us if there's a 5/3 Angel in the way. And then that does have Vigilance, doesn't it? So I'll put the Lightning Greaves on the Angel. And we can swing in at the Hallar player. Because I think they've been the ringleader. I didn't read that text like I said, but I think they've been the ringleader in trying to get rid of us. So knocking them down to 25, we'll protect the Queen Marchesa again and hold up Teferi's Protection, ready for what is hopefully a Ruinous Ultimatum that wraps up a few commanders next turn. Draw with the Monarchy, get into some more mana in Arcane Signet, a little bit late for that. Bond of Discipline, tap all creatures your opponents control. And creatures you control gain lifelink until the end of the turn, so yeah, they'll probably try and take us out here. I think they're definitely going in at us, so in order to encourage this damage to go elsewhere, try and get their life totals down a little bit, I'll go for the Teferi's Protection now, so that they don't waste their attack phase. Luckily they didn't have any white counter magic there, so we phase out and we can just sit back and assume that we're not going to lose here. Very few ways that we can lose during a Teferi's Protection phasing out. A Galta, Primal Hunger now, so don't have the commander in play, unfortunately, that we could get rid of with the Ruinous Ultimatum. Still swinging in, as I assume they would, so spreading the damage, just for the sake of gaining 12 life, and it is 6 damage apiece. So damage dealt there. There is a 6/6 with Trample, And another 6/6 with trample thanks to the Quartzwood Crasher. Noteworthy that a Plains has been held up as well, so yeah, if they had swords or path, maybe they would have gone after our Queen Marchesa in response to the Teferi's protection, but worth playing around the fact that they might have some single mana removal there. Anyway, 14 counters now on the black market, so plenty of mana over there. And there we see Balthor, so that's one commander that we're going to be able to get rid of. Each player returns all red and black creatures from their graveyard to the battlefield. So in comes Goblin and Archamancer. There is, the Grave Titan, of course. Zombie Master, so everything getting Swamp Walk. There's a Sheoldred. Didn't realise that. Oh, maybe they just hard cast that as opposed to reanimating it. Kalitas, of course. Still some zombie tokens. Gravebreaker or Cryptbreaker. And the Death Priest Miracle. Now a Vizier of the Scorpion. And zombie tokens you control have Death Touch. So they do have quite a few zombie tokens in play at this point. There's a zombie army as well, not sure where that came from. And following that up, down to 2 cards in hand with a Risen Executioner. Just having a quick skim through here. Just for transparency's sake, it does say in the lobby that this is a more casual game. I never really know the number of times I've said casual and then been stomped by people. In Magic Online, I don't really know what casual is. So I just brought this. I don't think it's like EDH or anything, so yeah, I don't know what's not casual about it. Because I don't think what my opponents are doing is particularly casual compared to what they're calling my deck as not casual. I don't know. I don't really know what the complaint is here. I think this is a pretty evenly matched game. But anyway, down comes the commander again, or was that already in play? I can't remember. It's Shivan Fire now. 2 damage to a target creature. If it was kicked, then 4 damage instead. That is going on to the Kalitas, Traitor of Get. And a plus counter going on to the commander. Teferi's Protection is worth 3 ticks. I'm surprised Teferi's Protection costs that little, actually. But yeah, this player seems to be talking about how much cards cost. And we'll talk about this amongst ourselves in the comments section, shall we? I have said many a time, not that these players know that, of course, but I've said many a time that the expense of a card doesn't really have anything to do with how competitive the deck is. The more competitive cards do tend to cost more, but you can put Teferi's Protection in a sliver deck, and it doesn't necessarily make it competitive, you know what I mean? Well, that's my take on it. Anyway, a Cinderclasm now. And that is 2 damage to each creature, thanks to the kick. So down goes Kalitas, and where is it? Along with some other creatures. The Lord must have gone down there. Yeah, that went down, so a bunch of other creatures did as well. Now a Tajaru Paragon. And again, that has been kicked, so reveal the top 6 cards. You may put a card that shares a type with it into your hand. And they did activate the Orrery Fastwood as well, so plus counters. I think just 1 onto here. Commander is a 7/7 now. And they are tapped out there, so that's really good. Swinging in at the mono black player. So we have managed, thanks to that Teferi's Protection, we have managed to force players to all swing around at each other. Might be throwing their commander away to a Grave Titan though, but they're going to lose all their stuff to the Ruinous Ultimatum anyway. Ivyline Denizen went into our opponent's hand, by the way, so they have this in their hand from the green creature that entered. Yeah, this well, if we go down within the next turn or two, we've at least got some drama unfolding in the chat here, I think, from what I'm skimming over and looking at here. Seems to be a bit of bitching going on, which is pretty typical on Magic Online and Magic the Gathering in general. Online internet culture in general. Anyway, ganging up on the commander, as you would assume they were going to. Black Market and Ozolith will trigger, so a bunch of counters going on the Ozolith. Haven't actually seen anyone make use of this ever since it came out. Now, because it's our turn, Bitter Blossom goes on the stack first and resolves last, so unfortunately can't sacrifice the Fairy or the Angel to Sheoldred. This is a 7/7 though, it's a 7/6, so we could block with 2 Angels on that if needs be. So I think we sacrifice our Queen Marchesa here, and that does go back to the command zone. Commanders die now, so another Black Market trigger, we go down to 10. And thanks to being ganged up on, we are at a low enough life total that we are pretty much forced with this Ruinous Ultimatum. Forced to do the Ruinous Ultimatum. So Rakdos Signet. Mana's not incredible at the moment. Yeah, I think we need to crack this, unfortunately. So we'll get another white or red source. I think it's white that we're looking at. So we'll just grab ourselves a basic plains. And we can go for the Arcane Signet here. So we will play that and drop ourselves a Ruinous Ultimatum. Destroy all non-land permanents my opponents control. So that is a bunch of black market triggers, keeping the mono black player in the game, or at least it was. So yeah, that should do quite well for us. The Ozolith obviously triggering as well, but that has been blown up in the Ruinous Ultimatum. I'm thinking it's pretty much the Gishath that we're worried about here. Maybe Mass Reanimation from the black player. Oh, and the client lagged there. I would have put Lightning Greaves onto the Angel token there and dealt some more damage to this player. Oh well, it was asking me to pass the Ozolith over, which I'd already done, so I clicked pass again, and of course that made me pass to the beginning of combat phase. So I'll just put the Lightning Greaves on the one that has the Skull Clamp on it, and we will draw a card at the beginning of the end step here, thanks to the Monarchy. Getting to Lingering Souls doesn't necessarily help us against a bunch of trample. Might be that if Gishath comes down here though, they could go on to help take out the Gruul player if they don't want to swing in at our Angels. So there we are, we see Gishath, Sun's Avatar, but I don't think we're necessarily longed for this world here. Been a good game though, I think. Not too sure my opponents think so though. So through to combat, I will double block to get rid of the Gishath. Yeah, going in at the black player. So the Angel's holding players back. So that is another turn that we don't take any damage potentially, assuming that the other two players don't get haste into play. We can finish off the mono black player with an Angel. So Gishath going to trigger here. We see Huatli's Raptor. And there is a Pyroceratops. Don't know that one. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put plus counter on it, and it has trample. Even more trample for us to deal with. So the black player down to 3. Let's see if he can do any mass reanimation or anything like that. No board wipe, just passing the turn straight over. So yeah, deciding to scoop at that. They didn't get into anything apparently. Not actually sure if Hallar can come into play here. It has been blown up a few times. Might be that they have to tap out into it, but they do have to be wary of the Angels. Just skimming through the chat again here. I think that's a really funny line to me. I've never spent more than $80 on a single card. He's saying that like that's not a huge amount. As a fully fledged adult, as I like to think I am, yeah, $80 on one card. Nowadays, I have some older cards that are worth that I spent that kind of money on them when I was younger. But now, there is no way in hell I'm spending anywhere close to $80 on a single card. Yeah, if the paper YouTube channel took off or anything like that, then I'd consider it. But no, I'm not spending that kind of money on a single card. I've got to push myself to spend $20 or $30 on a single card, in all honesty. Not sure what's going on here, if the Gruul player is just timing out and deciding not to play us anymore. Okay, deciding to do something now, so maybe he was just working things out. Going down to 9 with the Ancient Tomb, I think. And there we go, there is some haste in the Rhythm of the Wild, followed by a Canopy Surge. So that was kicked. 4 damage to each creature with flying. And we drew into Field of the Dead, only making 1 land a turn, unfortunately. Haven't done too well on our colours. We've been really unlucky on that front. Luckily, we've had the Urborg. So we go down to 5, go down to 4. Went down to 5 from the Canopy Surge. Alright, Demonic Tutor. Shall we try and take out the Gruul player first before we do anything else? We'll go for the Skull Clamp first, and then the Lightning Greaves. Because whether or not this player goes down dictates to us if we are going to tutor for one thing or another. So definitely 5 damage onto the Gruul player. Would have been gone before now if I'd attacked him with the Angel previously. so could dictate the outcome of this game. Magic Online being goofy and laggy, but don't mind losing this one particularly. I think the Gishath player maybe deserves to win this if they were being ignored for a lot of the game. I suppose one thing I could have done actually there was gone for Demonic Tutoring to the True Conviction, but that would have been a massive flop if the Hallar player had actually been able to do something to me there, so yeah, we'll just go with this. We'll have a token from Field of the Dead as well, so yeah, let's go for the Demonic Tutor, and the Zombie token will come in as an Angel token, of course. So I think we're quite eager to get into some life with the True Conviction. So luckily got down the Arcane Signet last turn, so we don't have to tap Ancient Tomb for any mana, or for any life even. Yeah, maybe should have been more gung-ho and gone for the True Conviction earlier on. We could have been at 14 life here as opposed to 4, but not to worry. Let's go Field of the Dead, make another Angel token, and I don't think it particularly matters which one has the Lightning Greaves. I'll go for the one with more power, and we'll pass at that. See if our opponent can take us out here. Or call the Copper Coats would have been really good. Yeah, potentially even better than True Conviction actually. Let's get rid of the Lingering Souls, as well as the Cathar's Crusade. I don't think is going to be particularly useful for us, so we'll get rid of that. A Pacifism. The Enchanted Creature can't attack or block, so we are forced to block with the 5/3. We'll, if we block the Gishath, that'll still get damage through to us, but we're going to take out their Gishath. They're going to take out our Angel, but we're going to take, we're going to put 10 damage on their commander, so hopefully still end up at 14 here. Hoatli Dinosaur Knight. 2+ counters on a dinosaur you control will have their Gishath survive. And that's exactly what they're doing, so a 9/8. Not sure if we can survive here now. So 6 damage goes through there. That is 10. So that negates the life that we gain here. And then that hits us for 2, so I think we still survive. Yeah, we'll block like that because we need to deal the double strike damage to the Gishath. So we go up to 9 before we take commander damage from Gishath. And then their commander goes down. Our Skull Clamp triggers. They do take the Monarchy away from us. We've got haste in Lightning Greaves, thankfully. And we can always cast our commander if we're desperate. So that is 6 damage to us. And the more dinosaurs they get, the more angels we're going to get from Call the Copper Coats. So, yeah, could play to our advantage here. We've got Ophiomancer, which goes really well with the Divine Visitation as well. That's an angel token every single turn. And that is Yidaro, Wandering Monster. So, yeah, don't think that's exactly what they needed. A Cherished Hatchling as well. And then they have tapped out. They go up to 3 cards thanks to the Monarchy they just stole away from us. So we go down to 1. Might have been punished for going for the crack on that Arid Mesa last turn. Fiery Confluence. We have fetches with Urborg in play. So I think the first thing we need to do is get rid of the Pacifism so that we can gain more life. So we'll go for Rip Apart onto that. Play a land for Field of the Dead. And then as long as we've got 3 mana for Call the Copper Coats held up, I don't think it particularly matters what we do here. Maybe get down Ophiomancer. Let's go Skull Clamp onto an Angel token again. We want Lightning Greaves on an Angel token as well. So we stand to gain 18 life here. Let's go through to combat first of all. I think I'm just going straight in at my opponent's face here. Yeah, well, maybe they can proliferate. This is when it enters the battlefield, proliferate, so I don't think they have too much proliferate left. Hopefully they don't get the overrun effect on this. Yeah, I'll play it risky. I think the Call the Copper Coats is going to really help us here. So we take the Monarchy away from our opponent with the first strike damage. And then up to 19, up to a much more comfortable 19, although it's not necessarily all that comfortable up against big dinosaurs. We can drop the Ophiomancer here then, I think. So let's go Rakdos Signet first, and then we'll protect the Ophiomancer so that it can continue to make us an angel every turn. And I think, and I hope, our opponent's going to struggle to get rid of us here. Drawing to another card in D-Spark if we're desperate, that's good. Can't hold up the Call the Copper Coats and D-Spark, unfortunately. But here comes the Ophiomancer, and it would come in as a snake every single upkeep. but instead is turned into an angel. Seeing as how we don't control a snake, we will make an angel every turn. Getting an angel out of the way by minusing down the Huatli. So it is 8 damage onto our angel. They don't fight, unfortunately, so we won't gain the life from that. But if they play around, they're going to have to work combat out as if we've only got these creatures in play. And Call the Coppercoats is obviously going to ruin those plans for them, so there's an Icon of Ancestry plus counter on the Pyroceratops. Icon of Ancestry is another Anthem effect. Rage Reflection. Creatures you control gain double strike. Alright, so our double strike is slightly less relevant there. In fact, probably very much less relevant. We'll wait for them to attack him first of all. Maybe going for D-Spark onto the Rage Reflection would be a good idea, but yeah, I'm not sure how they could mess us up with 1 card and 2 white left up. I think it's just a good idea to go Call the Coppercoats here. I think Mana Tithe is the only counter spell that we'd have to worry about, and that's 1 mana paid into that, so we'll go Call the Coppercoats on our opponent, making ourselves 4 more 4/4 flying double strikers with lifelink. And there we can go trading there. Get rid of the green one. Get rid of the Pyroceratops as well, but our opponent decides to scoop to that. We were going to gain a whole heap of life there, and yeah, probably just chump these two now that I'm thinking about it, or maybe get rid of the Pyroceratops because we can use 2 angels for that, and then just chump this one and go through for lethal with the angels next turn. Don't forget, get another angel from the Orpheomancer, so it's 1 from that, 1 from the Bitter Blossom as well. Okay, well, sheer dumb luck. I'm not exactly sure what they were referencing there, and it's cheap BS apparently. I thought that was a pretty evenly matched game. I mean, we were down to 1 life at one point, so pretty salty from our opponent, but I know that you all like the salty games anyway. I think you find them amusing, as you should, because there's no need to act like a little baby. If you did enjoy it anyway, then be sure to leave it a thumbs up. That really helps with YouTube's algorithms and hopefully pushes the video through to more potential viewers. You can consider donating on Patreon as well via the link in the description below. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.